That has not started yet. That's going to be at some point in the future. But it will be a two-phase project. This is just going to be for phase one. The next one's going to be the Elm Branch townhomes. This one's pretty visible. That dark Chase bank building that we had over in the Four Corners area has been demolished. These townhomes are currently being constructed. You can see them as you drive by Valley View or up and down Josie. There are going to be 42 townhomes constructed as part of this development. And I guess another place, the point of reference would be it's across from the Marshall's Barbecue over there at the Four Corners. We also have the Goodland townhomes. This is at Havenhurst and Goodland. This will consist of 25 townhomes. And this is, again, currently under construction. We are going to see this coming online, hopefully within the relatively near future. Also, this was one after our big pickleball tournament that we had. We've seen a lot of influx of pickleball developments trying to look to come to the city. So we are excited about this Jet Street pickleball project. It also is under construction. They're going through their permitting process right now, hoping to open sometime in the summer of 2024. So we're really excited about it. It will have an indoor and outdoor component to the pickleball. So not quite chicken and pickle in terms of scale, but that kind of idea where we are going to have a mix of indoor and outdoor uses with this development. And again, this is right off of Valley View at Dick Drive and Jet Street. Another one, obviously, we're really excited about is our multi-sport center. This is currently under construction. We've cleared the site. We're still working on some stuff regarding the soil, but we should be seeing vertical construction here pretty soon. Estimated opening late this fall, early winter, December of this year. Again, this is on city-owned land, so it's a public-private partnership between the city and the Dallas Stars. The main focus of this is going to be basketball and volleyball, and this was all funded through a debt service that will be paid by the Dallas Stars. Right next to this is where we're going to see the Presidium Denton Drive mixed-use multifamily project. Currently, we haven't seen any construction on this site yet. Really what we're waiting for on this one is the Denton Drive and Pike Street construction to take place, and then we'll start seeing some progress made on this as far as, I guess, physical alteration of the land. But we are excited about this. It's already gone through the site plan process. That will eventually be 337 units for the site plan, podium project. There's also going to be about 9,000 square feet of retail included with this project as well. So something that we're also excited about, and that will be right next to the Dallas Stars Multi-Sport Center. The Whittington Townhomes, this is over on the west side, part of the Mercer project. We are just going to see not only the townhomes constructed, but there's going to be a park dedicated to the city with this, which we're excited about. We'd love to see more parkland area over there on the west side, and this will help provide some of that. With this project, we are looking at 69 townhome units that will be constructed. It is currently under construction, and we are still working with them on a couple things, but overall, this should be coming online again more near term for us. And then also the Station Townhomes. This is located over at the former Fire Station number 2 up in Spring Valley. 19 townhomes for sale with this, and also again, similar to everything else you've seen here, it is currently under construction. This was approved late 2022. We had to do a couple extra steps regarding the sewer with the city or town of Addison. That's all been approved as of spring of last year, so we are seeing this under construction right now, and this will be providing 19 townhomes within this development. As far as current ongoing development, that's really kind of the big macro thing I wanted to touch on. We have Shane Davis here to talk about one thing that has been, I guess, ongoing, and that's going to be regarding the spot at Myra and kind of how we're going to handle future development, especially on this scale, and address some issues that we've run into with this that hopefully we won't be running into in the future. So Shane, I'll let you take it over.
You hear me okay? Louder? So the city's looking at implementing throughway contracts, and that's for public improvements only. So there'll be a contract between the city, the developer, and the contractor that's actually installing public improvements. There'll be condition for the plat approval. What the requirement is the developer would have to set aside a certain percentage of the public improvement cost as a retainage for the end of the project until the contractor fulfills all the obligations that the city has and passes the inspections for the public improvements. So there would be bonding requirements and payment bonds and maintenance bonds for the future. This would be standard practice going forward for all development projects. So try and not have this situation occur again in the city. So attorneys in the city have worked through our contract. It's ready to go. So going forward, we're trying to avoid this from happening again.
Yes, as far as the overall presentation, really that's all we have to touch on as far as information, but obviously we're happy to answer any questions y'all might have.
Let me just interject, if I could, regarding Myra Park. This is a mess. The situation around it, just so everybody knows, I try to keep everybody informed. I've had multiple meetings with Ruben Garza, CEO of Dallas Medical Center. Prime Healthcare, which owns Dallas Medical Center, sold this property to Market Space Development out of Houston. And Market Space was undercapitalized, basically. So when contractors started to not get paid, they started filing liens against anybody they could. And so Dallas Medical Center was listed just because they're right next door. Really, Dallas Medical Center doesn't have anything to do with this. This is a totally separate project. But because we've got public infrastructure that's involved here with drainage and a road, this project has cost Dallas Medical Center a lot of revenue. The property is posted for foreclosure the first Tuesday in March. I don't know what's going to happen there. I think there's somebody who's looking to take it over and finish it. Market Space wants to wash their hands of it. They're actually looking at declaring bankruptcy on this project, and that'll tie this thing up even further. It's a mess. So I, as recently as yesterday afternoon, had a meeting with Ruben, but prior to that I had a meeting with somebody who was representing Market Space, and I don't really want to be in the middle of this, but I was trying to, I got called to be in it, and so that's fine. I'll meet with them to hear what they had to say, but there was a buyback provision that was in the contract when Prime originally sold this property to Market Space, and along with the age restriction. And there was a point in time when Market Space wanted us to change and nullify the age restriction on this property. And council was not going to do that, nor was Prime, the owner. So where things stand today, Market Space is asking Prime to relax the buyback provision, which they're not inclined to do. There's other work that could get done if that provision was relaxed, but that's really between Prime and Market Space at this point. I don't know how long it's going to take those lawyers to sort all this out. So in the meantime, we have an albatross of an incomplete parking garage that's gonna be staring us in the face for quite a while. So we have that situation, but more importantly, we've got this drainage issue that's got to get taken care of. And Ben, do you want to provide some additional info?
I'll defer to Shane on that one, I'll be more where we're at.
Okay.
So the city's got to take over the construction of the street and the drainage, get those improvements done, because yes, it's impacting the hospital, they can't use one of the roads, so there's an impact. So we'll be looking at getting a contractor hired, probably using emergency procurement, given the grave nature and the concerns we have at the site, to get a contractor in place to complete the public improvements for this project. So that is where I'm going at the moment, is trying to figure out the best contractor to work with for this project.
But we're now looking at fencing that ourselves.
Correct.
Okay, and because it is a safety hazard, that whole area. And
The contractor's taking down their fence, we've fenced part of it, I checked on it this morning, we're supposed to complete the southern portion, they didn't complete the other day due to how muddy it was, like, well, it's getting ready to rain again here in a few days, so it is what it is at this point in time, get the fence up, it's a security issue. So,
well, I hope that, you know, we're having to step in to complete some of this work. It's gonna cost us money
yes, sir.
from our tax base, or our tax revenue. And then we'll just be in line with everybody else, I guess, to try to get our money back.
That's an area I can't speak to, Ryan was involved with that heavily, to
Yeah.
get better answers, I can talk with him and get you an answer later on, when Ryan gets back.
Okay. Well, I wanted you all to know as much as I know now on this thing, so. And I did have one other question.
Yes, sir.
And that is regarding the pickleball at Jet and Denton Drive.
Yes.
Have you heard from those people? They were in such an all-fired hurry to get everything complete so they could be open in March. And I
Yes,
haven't
sir.
seen one lick of work done over there.
So they've gone through some of the permitting process. I know they've recently platted the property. There are, they've submitted for, at least submitted for a facade grant for this. That's at the very start of that process. So we haven't had a chance to review that or actually put it on any sort of agenda or anything like that. So there is some work going on behind the scenes as far as, you know, actual, I guess, construction regarding the exterior or anything like that. I'm expecting that's going to happen within the next couple months. We'll start seeing some more work happen there. But officially, they're still, I guess, still working on behind the scenes, nothing that's come forward.
Would you like me to read the text from Mario?
Yeah,
Please do.
because
I know, I reached out because I was
I did too,
concerned
you
as
never
well.
responded.
He was out of the country evidently. Apologies for the late response. I've been out of the country traveling. Things are still moving a tad slower than anticipated, but we hope to be under construction mid-March. Have also been working on our other locations in the Metroplex. Would be great to connect the week of the 19th. So,
Okay. I was just looking to see if you sent me.
I just got that a day or so ago.
And Mayor, I will say, you know, regarding the permits and all that, I know they've been working quite more closely with the planning department and Danielle's team down at Community Services. So I'm more than happy to try and round up any additional information or anything like that they might have, but.
I think what Tina said helps.
11:20 Monday morning is when I got that.
Okay. I'm sorry. Councilman Rowland, you got questions?
So for the land where Mercer Park is going to go, have we been deeded that property over from the developer?
There it is. As of now, I don't believe that has occurred. I know there were some improvements that need to happen on that piece of property first before we're willing to accept that over on the city side. That's a conversation I believe that's ongoing right now between the city and the developers out there. So officially, as of now, no.
Okay.
But that ultimately will take place.
What's the timeline on that?
I don't know offhand, I can find that information and get something over to you tomorrow.
Once we get the land, how long after that will we begin construction?
From the city side, that too, I'll need to find it. And I know some of the construction is supposed to happen from the developer side, not on the city side. I'll need to defer to our Parks Department regarding when construction is going to happen as soon as we get that. So.
Okay. And then for the Elm Branch townhomes, by Marshall's Barbecue, are
Yes.
those going to be sold, or are they going to be, is the developer going to rent them out?
Everything I've heard has been it's a for sale project.
Rent,
Rent,
we know,
Okay.
they changed.
Okay.
which, moving forward, we need to be very, much more buttoned up. They made a presentation to council when this was getting in the approval process, and they specifically said they're gonna be sold, and this is the price, and whatnot.
Mhm.
Then they changed their tune when they started building, and that's not what we were sold.
Yeah.
And so we just need to be more buttoned up, so
Sure.
that bait and switch can't happen in the future.
Yeah.
If I could just jump in, I wanted to just let Councilman Rowan know about Mercer Park, and I was gonna talk a little bit more about it when we got to our topic, but I'll go ahead and, since it kind of got brought up. Right now, I actually just had a meeting yesterday with planning, working with the developer. The developer has a certain set of guidelines that they're gonna have, a certain set of items they have to get done and completed. And we're working with the developer on, we've got some, I think there's been some communication with council about some of those items and their timelines. So we're keeping that door open with them, and when we get to a certain point, we do have funds committed to the city portion of that park. So, but we need to get, there won't be, one of the topics we discussed yesterday, we're not gonna, as part of the development agreement, we're not gonna go forward with any building permits, issuing those until their portion of the park is completed. So that's kind of where we're at right now, kind of waiting for the developer to get their portion finished, and then we'll move forward with the things that we'll be doing. So, does that help?
Is the amount of money that we've dedicated for this project still sufficient for the project as it stands?
I have to look at, I know that's one of in the presentation, you guys had kind of some renderings. So we'll need to go ahead and get prices on that. We haven't put anything out to bid or anything yet to see exactly everything that we're going to be putting in. The developer's supposed to put in things like trails, parking lot, some of those big infrastructure items. I think they do, I think they have put in some of the trails so far. So we'll have to, but I think we've got $1 million committed to the city portion, which would be basically things like playground. I think there's maybe a shade structure in there, and possibly some pickleball courts as well, if we can get that in the budget too, so.
Okay,
Okay, all right, thank you.
that's it.
That's it.
Okay, Councilman Baer.
I'm good.
Thanks. Councilman Mayor.
Chris, thank you. Shane, thank you for the presentations and the discussions. I want to go back to Shane, the last slide that we had here. So going forward, this is more procedural, if you will, and making sure all of these checks and balances and the contracts are done before we move out of economic development and planning. Is that where that's, help me understand the kind of workflow that this has.
Correct, it's a condition of the plat, so the plat can't be approved until the contract's approved. So
Okay,
if you don't sign the contract, then that kind of limits their ability to go forward.
all right. Appreciate the clarification that it happens at the plat and therefore moving forward. So, all right, thank you. Nothing.
Councilman? Good, all right. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right, we're moving right on to public infrastructure. A lot going on in the city. So you ready to go? You ready to point that?
Is pickleball big here?
You might say that.
Man, it's a craze here.
We're hoping it is.
Go ahead.
So, we are probably expecting Ryan. Ryan's been out sick all week, so before I begin, I want to introduce someone in the back of the room who probably doesn't want any attention. She likes attention as much as I do. You need to come forward.
Nice drawing.
This is Danielle Ricks, the deputy director and your city engineer. Without her, I'm not putting this presentation together. So we tried to leave Ryan alone as best we can. Hopefully he recovers sooner rather than later. But thanks to her and the rest of the team in Public Works, we're going to try our best to fill in for Ryan today. But yeah, give me a chance to stop by and quietly say hello to Danielle. Anyway, we're going to focus on the overview of the CIP plan for Public Works. So water, sewer, stormwater, includes a pending permit we have for stormwater, street projects, and sidewalk and trails. So we can combine those two. So we're going to identify the near-term projects both this year and next year that we think we need to focus on. We've had a lot of discussion. The topic du jour has been water infrastructure. So just to talk a little bit about the prioritization we use, main categories. It's the type of pipe, what it's made out of, age of the pipe. And a lot of times it's also the location. We'll talk a little bit about that when we get to the Group B main projects we'll talk about in this presentation. And also kind of what we have planned. The last thing we're going to do is build a nice brand new street and then come back in 5 months later and rip out the middle of it, put down a water or sewer line. So when we talk about location specific, it's those type of things. What we got going on. Schools is another one. We'll talk about that with some of our projects. We don't want to be building water lines in front of the school during the school season. And we're trying to time those for summer. So all this goes into our prioritization and our timing for our public works projects. The water systems, drinking water projects, we get updated once a year. Sewer can be updated more often. Keep in mind, we can actually camera those lines, and sometimes we're going to camera down there and they see this line is in much worse shape than we thought it was. This needs to be moved up in our prioritization schedule. So there's fluctuations in our prioritization. So that's why if you ever ask us for a list of projects one year, next year there may be some pretty big changes, but it's due to the things we're seeing in the field, or in this case, the regulations coming our way. We're going to try and get ahead of some of it if we can. So trying to backtrack a little bit about how we're getting here with some of the concern of lead, copper, rule revision. 1986, EPA passed the Safe Drinking Water Act. That's the one that said you cannot use lead anymore in your service lines. That's at the federal level. Again, it takes time to get down to the state and local level and plumbing codes to adopt those. That was the origination for the prohibition of lead. Now we have the LCRR, and by October 16th of 2024, we have to compile an inventory. So it says all of our city lines and lines going to the houses. Our inventory must be completed, submitted to the state, and also has to be made publicly available.
Roll your slide.
Oh, sorry. I'm still just talking the introduction of how we got there. So the biggest concern is lead and then also galvanized piping. Galvanized, although it may not contain lead, can absorb lead if it is upstream of it and it flows past it. So that's the concern with galvanized. So this is kind of just a background of our prioritization schedule for water. So here we are in the first set of water projects. The biggest one we got up there is Webb Chapel water line. From that line to LBJ. Again, this is a cast iron pipe and also AC pipe combination. So if you look further down the slide, we got 35 million for priority projects. That's a list of about 80 projects we currently have in the queue of things we'd like to replace. This is one of them. This is the most expensive one, is this Webb Chapel one. FBOP lift station, we're advertising that this month. And then our estimated cost, we haven't got the bids back, is $2 million to rehab that particular lift station. For those that don't know what a lift station is, that's on the sewer side. So sewer flows via gravity. It's going to flow through pipes until it gets to a very low point where it's either below the next pipe or the next structure is going to flow into. At that point in time, the lift station's goal is to mechanically lift and elevate the sewage to a higher elevation where it can connect to another pipe, flow into the next structure and keep going. So these are critical. So that's the lift station, FBOP is a lift station. In terms of our inventory, which I mentioned we got to have it done by October of this year, we're about 95% complete is the estimate at this time. We're focused on cast iron water main replacements. Again, this gets to the LCRR prioritization. We're trying to get these out of our system. These typically tend to be very old pipes. But also the concern there, iron is not lead, but you look at galvanization. We talk about galvanized and lead. Those meets that category. That's why we care. Ford Road water main replacement. We're in the design phase for that one, about 50% done with that. And then Ryan just provided a big number out there, just kind of, if we went through and tried to replace all of our small diameter pipes that are non-PVC, that's new industry standard, we're gonna try and get everything to PVC, here's what that would look like if we had to replace all those with today's dollars. That's what that number shows you. It's a little bit more. So 1980, I think we've been pretty conservative with this number. I mentioned 86 is when the Safe Drinking Water Act came out, but this is a very conservative number, trying to replace everything pre-1980. We've taken all that stuff out. So out of that big price tag we showed you, there's $200 million of that, $200 million for those programs. So the next council agenda, these items will be coming to you for approval. This is what we call the Group A water main projects for this year. Here's a list of projects that are in this year's budget. Next agenda item, that will be on your agenda for approval. We need to update the total estimate for this contract. We've got the extra numbers in, it's 2.2 is the number, not 1.8. So prices have gone up based on what we've seen in the past. But these will all be on the agenda February 20th. You see she and I talking back there, that's what we're discussing, trying to get this agenda item moving through. Here's the Group B project. So later on this year, these are going to be coming not too long after this one. If you look at these locations, a lot of these are near schools. We talked about that being a priority location. This is much about timing. We get these bid out, have them ready to go, so come summertime, we can try and get the ones that are right by the schools done before school comes back in session. Again, the CI stands for cast iron, so we're looking at some of these acronyms in here. We're focusing on the cast iron pipes. Wastewater, I&I, so inflow and infiltration. If you have a sewer line that has a crack in the top or somewhere on the side, an old clay tile pipe, groundwater, precipitation works way down to the groundwater, can't flow into those pipes. That increases our costs. So whatever we can do to decrease the amount of flow to TRA, Trinity River Authority is our agency that takes care of the wastewater for us. They operate the plant. We want to try and decrease our I&I. That saves us money as a city overall. So he's got an estimate there for the next top 8 projects that are ready to construct, the length of them. And again, the focus there is clay tile. It's kind of the most brittle ones and the most prone to have cracked over time. We're trying to get those replaced. Typically that's through the pipe bursting. Okay, knocking out of the park. Moving on to streets. We don't stop and talk about water, you also ask questions at the end. I'm fine if we want to get different topics along the way. I know water's been a big discussion point lately. Free to keep going if you want to keep going.
Go ahead, well, I'd suggest we go ahead and maybe the mayor has a different opinion.
So in terms of street projects, you just passed this agenda item at the last council agenda. This is the relamping. We're targeting 6 intersections a year over the course of 10 years. We do consistent PMs on them, but we're noticing there's some bigger, it's not just simple repairs anymore. That's why that item was brought to you last time. We realized we got to do some more maintenance on those, a little bit higher level maintenance, and that's what we're looking at now is how do we keep that infrastructure up and going as well. So you just approved that one. Traffic signal connectivity. I have just sat through a presentation at COG. We've heard some of this talked about from PD and Fire. The way things are going in the traffic industry, from what I've seen, it's going to be very data intensive in terms of video, with a lot of automation, preemption. It's going to get to the point where the signals will be able to see if it's a pedestrian at the corner, you've got a car trying to turn right. The future of that is you make that car hold up, you don't give them their green light right away, let the pedestrians get out there a little further, and then you authorize the car to move. That's further down the road. There'll be a lot of discussions with IT, in my opinion, because you got to have enough server capacity for all the video you're going to have going on. Make sure your fiber optic cables are what you need. But this is the direction traffic signal controlling is heading in the future. Nice thing about this too is all our staff will be able to, if you have a complaint about, one of the ones I remember when I was in Public Works before, Webb Chapel and Valley, for the longest time, people used to complain about some of the turning movements there, it was marsh. Now staff can immediately pull up, if you had the system in place, look at the signal for a couple times, or in the past, and see is there an issue, or is it just someone's a little frustrated, just doesn't want to wait in the line. And we can tell pretty quickly if the light's out, if the turn signal's not working as it should, and make the adjustments very quickly. So it increases our response time and should cut down on overtime if we move this direction. So we're still looking at what it would take. The $1 million would be a one-time cost up front, is my understanding at this point in time, for a company to come in and pull all this stuff in, and it'll be for 10 years. But this is, nothing's inked or written in stone yet. That's a conversation that staff will point me out. Valley View from Denton Drive to Nestle. Again, it's a multi-phase project we have coming forward. Looking at the lane configurations for that portion of the road, and also trying to get a trail or a very wide sidewalk along the north side to connect to our existing trail that comes off the Rawhide Greenbelt. We're trying to get folks down to the station area in ways other than cars. So you have cars going, but also that sidewalk, if you walk on the north side of Valley View, you pretty much got to walk single file when you go past car repair shop there. That's a very narrow sidewalk. So trying to create a better walking environment for people, make it more walkable is part of the project as well. The 6 streets and sidewalks rehab projects, which I think those are listed on the next slide. Here we go. So here's your list of some upcoming street projects. The Metalport, Shellen, Ford, Mount Vale, Field, Townfield, those are asphalt overlay. So basically they're stripping the asphalt out and replacing it. It's not the full blown section repairs, taking out the concrete. It's just asphalt overlay for those. Relamping we talked about already. That was the prior item. That's the plan for the next 10 years. Don't expect it to stay at 140. Maybe it will, but given the way costs are going at the moment, today's dollar. Now we're in the last year of our traffic signal cabinet replacements. So this is our last year to put in cabinets that we want to replace. That doesn't mean we won't purchase more cabinets in the future, but when we do, those are backup and reserved. So if we get hit in a traffic accident, we got a cabinet we can then take out in the field quickly and reinstall versus waiting on the pretty long lead times we have for cabinets at this juncture. Stormwater. Next project is Reach 4. It shows you the addresses, location. We're trying to finish up the design of that one. Valley View and Rawhide Bridge. So if you go to City Hall and then look backwards or look north, and that bridge over past, you'll see where the bottom of that is kind of deteriorating. So that's the culvert rehab project, is that one. It's right there by City Hall and Valley. Marshland detention study. This is just the feasibility, trying to see if we do a model, if we put a pond somewhere in that location, does it make a difference in terms of the flow into Farmers Branch Creek? So nothing set in stone, we're just assessing that particular location. Remember from Farmers Branch Creek, I think it's the death by 1,000 paper cuts, to really try and have the impact you want to see long term at that creek. There's no one big home run you can, I apologize for the sports metaphor, but there's not one easy solution. It's going to be lots of little ones to reduce the flow. And then the one I will certainly be involved with is stormwater permits or 5-year permits. The last one we submitted just got approved by TCEQ, 5th year in the plan. Hopefully this next project gets approved a little more quickly, but that has to be rewritten this year. Every time we rewrite a permit, the requirements go up. This time they're expected to start catching some of the floatables. So floatables or anything that floats down the creek. So if someone throws a plastic bottle into the street, makes way into a stormwater inlet, makes it into the creek, we will have to install some mechanisms based on the draft permit. This is not final, but what I've seen so far, to actually capture some of the floatables going forward. Not across the entire city, but they're going to make you start putting some of those in key locations. Certainly still looking at water quality there. So far I don't see any signs we're going to have to start doing testing of the creek shed. At some point in time, it probably gets to that point, what is your biggest thing getting into the creek? Which for us is probably going to be sediment. But those are 5-year terms, and that's the new requirements. In terms of trails, The last bottleneck we got in the design of the West Side Art Trail is the city of Dallas and a signal at Harry Hines. TxDOT was nice enough to put an on-ramp in the middle of our trail, and we're almost done with this, right there at Harry Hines, gets you on to 35. We're working through that challenge, but that's the last thing is putting a signal there, getting Dallas to buy off on the signal. There's lots of utilities under there, so I have to use a spread footing to make that work so it's stable. Once that's done, we get the final approval from TCQ, and we can actually release that for bid, but work the right-of-way issues on that. The city of Dallas has been fun. B Street sidewalk expansion, most of that's done. We have one block we need to fix, but that would tie into Valley View. So once we get the Valley View plans done, we can finish up the design for the B Street project that was started a while back. One project that is kicking off this year is Valley View Lane at Mercer Parkway. West Side Art Trail Phase 1, part of that's going to pick up from Mercer Parkway and Valley View and go to the Campion Trail in Irving along Valley View. So we'll have a trail connection from where the developers left off and get you into Irving. The Parks Department's done a wonderful job revamping John Park Nature Preserve. However, I'm not sure any of y'all want to try and cross Valley View during peak traffic hours out there. So our goal is to make it a safe connection for folks to be able to walk to the nature preserve, especially on the west side. That's what this crosswalk will do. Our work that has just kicked off that project. There'll be an advanced funding agreement coming your way for the funding mechanism between us and TxDOT. But first is design and getting the EFA done. Rawhide Greenbelt. We're starting the parks to see in some cases where the segments are getting to be somewhat of a trip hazard. We're looking at how we get folks across the city on foot or on bike. To me, the Rawhide Greenbelt seems like a natural spine. A lot of the infrastructure is there. Let's make that a little bit wider as we start to replace some of this trail, make it 12 foot, and promote folks north of Valley View to use that. So the Rawhide Greenbelt, as we're starting to have to replace some of this, we have a little bit of undercut from when the Rawhide Creek gets out of its banks. It's undercutting a portion of that. So we need to do some maintenance there anyway. So we're seeing some different issues that have arisen for that particular sidewalk trail system. And as we start to replace that, you'll see it get a little bit wider. And then our big challenge will be how we get across Josie, how we get across these major thoroughfares safely. So you don't have to have this nice path and also, nope, maybe go south, this signalized intersection, get across and go back, continue my run. I want to figure out how the ways you can utilize that green belt and make that a very nice amenity for our residents. A continuous loop is my ideal path before I retire and leave the city, so. All right. That was a lot.
I don't even know where to start. Okay, Councilman Merritt. You want to?
Sure, I'd be happy to, Mayor, thank you. Shane, Danielle, thank you for all the work, and I'm sorry that Ryan's not here. Hope he feels better soon. There's a lot going on, and obviously we've talked about this in the past. The price tags are super big, let's just be honest. I commend the staff for, embedding some of these into the current, CIP elements as we go on. We've identified a number of these. It certainly looks like we'll need to do more in the future of planning for these larger, retrofits, if you will, or future fits, however you want to, couch that. And so I'm hopeful that my peers around the table will start to look at how we build our budgets going forward with larger chunks to address these things so we can eat the elephant one bite at a time and address it over the 10 years that we project for one, perhaps longer terms for street maintenance and things like that. We've got other wastewater, stormwater to deal with. So there's a lot to do, and therefore we need to position ourselves in the long term to address that. And that's either through the budget or through additional. I know we just had a discussion on a small bond opportunity that's presented itself, but we may have to have a much larger bond discussion in the very near term, which may be 2 or 3, 4 years going forward, in order to meet some of these objectives and just get on a general maintenance schedule. And I know we have a maintenance schedule, please don't take that as we don't. I want to make sure. But when we know we have larger lifts, not to confuse it with lift stations, there's a drum beat there, to make sure that we plan for these things and communicate to our residents, these are strategies, and that's exactly what we're doing here, having a strategic discussion. And it would be dereliction of my own duty here to make sure that we're providing not only public safety, but public infrastructure. And we want to have good streets, good water supply, wastewater going away, we're handling our stormwater, all of those things. So anyway, that's my statement, if you will. Again, thank you for all you do. I am looking forward to more on the Marsh Lane retention, which is to be a little more specific on the drainage committee. Talking with Ryan, we're looking at potentially behind Brookhaven College to have a retention there to manage the water much downstream. I think in the grand scheme, hindsight being 2020, we were looking at what do we do from Marsh Lane south. We didn't necessarily look at what we could do across Marsh Lane to the east in order to address all of that water going downstream. That's, another pun, water under the bridge. We've missed that opportunity. But now we have the opportunity to manage these things going forward. So obviously that's a long trek to travel, getting the Corps of Engineers to approve those things with the proposal, with the design, etc. But this is how we have to do these things on long arcs of timing going forward with tremendously big price tags. So just want to vet that with my peers. Thank the staff for all the input and the expertise that you provide, and very happy with what you've laid out here. So thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilwoman?
You know you love me. I too did my timeline on the LCRR. And knowing that ultimately they're asking for 100% compliance within 10 years is my concern.
Understood.
I mean, if you do the math on that at 200 million over 10 years, that's a substantial component of our budget.
Yes, ma'am.
And to do it right, you do everything above it as well in that timeline, which is far exceeds 200 million.
Yes, ma'am.
And so that's what I really want everybody to understand. And we talk about it, and I don't think we understand or that we've been clear what it ultimately means and what they're ultimately telling us. It's our drinking water.
It is.
And it's the tap. And that's why it's substantial.
Right.
Okay.
You are correct.
Thank you. Councilman Rowe? Okay. Where Mark is. So, a couple of questions, comments. Regarding connectivity, is making the trails 12-foot wide, is that mandatory?
No, it is not.
Okay.
When you say the word trail, if I'm talking to folks in the industry, the trail is 12 foot. Where it makes sense, where we can do it, and I'm gonna try and make that happen, but is it mandatory there? No, it's not. And some places it doesn't make sense, we don't have the right of way. So,
And so if it's not mandatory, then we're not under time constraint
depends
necessarily.
upon your funding source. So if it's federally funded, usually there's a certain amount of years you gotta spend that money,
Okay.
otherwise you lose it. So it depends upon how we're funding it. If
Understood.
it's all city funds, we have the money for that somewhere, then no, there's no time for that. That's why the trail master plan, the original one, a lot of this was just replacing a 4-foot sidewalk with a 5 or 6. And so those to me were like, all right, the sidewalk's in good condition, I don't think I'd be real happy if I come in and just rip out a 4-foot sidewalk and give you 1 more foot, but just spent $1 million to do it. So some of the things in that plan, yes, it'd be nice to have a little bit wider sidewalk. Let's wait till that sidewalk's to the point where it needs to be repaired. At that point in time, we'll work on widening. We're on high grade belt, that's why we're doing it this way now. We're starting to see some issues show up with that one. Let's make that so people can go both directions on both sides. That's my goal, is to make a nice loop around that place. But back to your original question, no, 12, only if you said that, and your funding agreement said you have to build 12-foot wide, that's where that comes into play.
So as you were presenting this and in reading over it prior to, I kept having this recurrent thought of, we need to put this in probably the simplest terms that our residents will understand.
Road coral.
All right, I'll hold my thought.